Today's show is all about 10 watches I try to avoid. Let's get into it. Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. Today I'm going to give you 10 watches I avoid
like the plague.
7 months ago I did a show like this, but I was talking more in generic terms, like don't get caught up by hype watches, don't settle on a watch when you could be patient and get the one you want. Today is a bit more specific. Now, if you're a long-time viewer of the Mad Watch Collector channel, you will know that I'm pretty positive most of the time with the watches I review. That is because the watches I choose to review, I like the look of and I want to see. And I don't want to waste my time reviewing a watch I didn't like the look of in the first place. So today, you may start to realize just why I haven't reviewed your watch yet. But listen, don't take it personally. It's my views on my channel, and you are more than entitled to have a difference of opinion. And at the start of these shows I make, I always say, buy what you want, okay? Unless it's
Skmee.
So sit back, try to relax, and let me tell you 10 watches I try to avoid because I don't like them. Wait till the end because the 10th pick is rather a hot take, and I'm going to show you the watch that has given my wife the worst negative reaction. Oh. Are you ready to avoid these watches? Let's go. Right, we're going straight in. I try to avoid any watches with Roman numerals. I don't feel I'm old enough physically or mentally to own one. I definitely don't feel I dress the right way to own one. Roman numerals are usually used on dress watches, and I tend to never go out for a fancy do.
Like the opera or a wine tasting.
To me, a Roman numeral dial looks best on a big grandfather clock in the corner of your grandparents' dining room with a big pendulum on the bottom. And what is worse than a Roman numeral dial? A California dial. The Roman numerals on the top half of the dial and the Arabics on the bottom half. It's an abomination. One day I do hope to get some Cartier into the channel, but it won't be because I want to buy one. Next up, a topic that isn't really talked about too much, and not many people hammer at companies for this, but it is stainless steel watches with stainless steel bracelets where you've got big protruding male end links. Having protruding male end links only makes the watch look bigger on your wrist, and when you've already got a big watch like the Hamilton Jazzmaster Daytona lookalike, which has a lug-to-lug of around 50 millimeters already, it just makes the watch unwearable. A bracelet's end link should keep the watch's lug-to-lug exactly the same. When you've got a watch with an awesome bracelet but makes the overall fit just too big for your wrist, it puts a massive downer on the watch.
Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
You all know I don't like fake watches, but what do I hate more than fake watches? Fake Casio watches.
I'm talking to you, Skmee.
Now, we all know why the homage or clomage have done so well over recent times. Watches that you can't afford and will never buy can now be bought under a different name with inferior parts and movements for a hell of a lot cheaper. And I get it. Take this G-Shock Mudmaster for instance. This is around £300 to £400, packed with so much kit inside, and it's got more sensors than the NASA space station. Now, some people may like the look, but would never be able to afford the watch. In comes this boy. Ooh. This is an obvious clone of this Mudmaster, and the only sense it gives off is the sense of a G-Shock. Honestly, I don't know how these companies get away with it. But when we go under the 100 mark to companies imitating a G-Shock Square, you're thinking to yourself, okay. But it's when you get to this level, this cheeky Skmee, which is a clone of the Casio AE1200. Now, the Casio you can buy for £30. The Skmee is 20. I honestly don't know why you would buy a Skmee now over a Casio. But the absolute kicker, introducing the F91W, another huge Casio icon you can buy for £10, or you can buy this one for £12. I just don't understand the business model, who's making these watches, but more importantly, who is buying them?
You are!
Alright, remember, Casios are awesome. Fasios aren't. Next one is luxury dive watches with shocking bezel actions. The amount of Omega fanboys trying to defend the action of their bezels is very honourable. But the worst thing for me as a lover of dive watches is to take in one that's over £5,000, which is a lot of dollar, only for it to have a very loose bezel action. Really makes me depressed. Now perhaps I've been spoiled. I'm an owner of 2 Tudor Black Bay 58s, and their ceramic ball 60-click ratchet system has made it the best bezel I've ever twisted. If you're paying luxury money, it's not just the movement, the finishing and materials that are refined, it should be the bezel action as well. I hate bad bezels! Super! This is another controversial one, and remember, I'm not having a go at your kids. I'm gonna tell you a watch I'm not a fan of, right? I don't like this watch. It represents everything I don't like in the watch market at the minute. Integrated bracelet, Gerald Genta inspired watches. Anything integrated means you can't play around with your straps. For someone that likes playing about with straps, I don't want to be forced by the company to only buy their straps and bracelets. Now that Gerald Genta inspired look has been absolutely played to death. And for me, the Tissot PRX is the most blandest and uninspired take of these watches. And I hope to sweet Lord himself that this watch market trend finishes soon. Now for me, I love a watch you can interact with. A hand wind only mechanical watch needs me to wind the power into the movement to make it tick. I have a lot of watches and I don't do winders, so usually when I pick a watch to put on in the morning, there's no juice in the tank. But that's what I love, the bond between me and machine. And it's quite a soothing mental routine I have every day. That's why if I see a watch with a small crown,
It winds me up.
I hate little crowns, which is a big reason why I'll never own the Black Bay 54. The crown's too tiny. Now a watch I do own, the Baltic MR01, it's an automatic, has a very tiny crown, but it does go with the look and style of the watch. I love that watch overall, but the crown is just not thick enough for me to have an enjoyable experience with. Now it's different with quartz watches because they keep on ticking and they never die out unless you need a battery. So the interaction with me and a crown on a quartz watch is not that often, but go back over all of my shows. If it's a mechanical watch, you'll find that the crowns are always pretty big. Okay, this is a little nitpicky for me. Now what I and you like in terms of handsets could be completely different. I do love a snowflake handset, and I know a lot of you out there really hate it. And I've got to say there aren't many handsets I don't like. My gripe comes with a seconds hand, specifically the Lollipop. Now I love a good Lollipop.
Especially toffee flavour.
Seconds hands usually look like a needle, and if it's a sports or dive watch, you'll have some sort of loom lollipop on the end. It's just at the end with a little bit of the needle poking out, which is great, isn't it? Because if I want to hack the time by pulling the crown all the way out and stop that seconds hand, I can stop it bang on any second I want. But it's when you get a seconds hand with a lollipop right on the tip of the seconds hand. Take the recently reviewed Seamaster. When you've got a big circle on the end of that seconds hand, it's very hard to stop it on the second. And a lollipop on the end, I really don't like.
Hello.
Okay, we're getting close to the end here. You're still friends with me, right? The next watches I tend to avoid are ones with display case backs showing off movements you just don't want to see. Now, for the likes of the Seiko 5, I can understand the marketing reason. Not everyone are like you and me. Some people out there don't realize that you can buy a watch that doesn't need a battery. And to show a potential customer that hasn't got a clue would look quite a novelty. Same market employed too with the Invicta Pro Diver, who I have to say these days are cheaping out on their products. The movements inside these watches no longer have that yellow rotor, which they are synonymous with. And if a rotor like this is not skeletonized, you can't see the movement anyway. So what's the point? Now, obviously, when you've got a beautiful Omega movement like this, you want to see it. And even the MR01 by Baltic. This is pretty. You want to have a look at it. So don't show me a bland movement because my wrist won't like it. Right, we come to the 10th one. I said it could be a hot take. Doesn't sound right unless I say it in an American accent. This is a hot take. Sea Stern, San Martin, Pagani Design, Steel Dive, Bernie, Tanderino. Their main business model is to take a very popular design, I don't know, from Seiko, and come up with a very similar design using affordable movements and having their name on the dial.
Now wait!
Before you have a go, I've got to admit, having reviewed Paganis and Steel Dives and San Martins, they're pretty damn good quality. And as a watch on their own, they really do stand up. But it's the fact they've copied a design. This is what really hurts my head. Now I know that a lot of you guys own these watches, and I have complete respect for you guys because they're good, solid watches. And you can find a very good bargain on AliExpress. But now you see the reasons why I don't show them on my channel. I'm the sort of person that instead of lusting after a Doxa 300T, knowing I'll never be able to afford one, I'll more than likely go to a watch that has the characteristics of that Doxa, but with its own personality, like, I don't know, the Bull of a Devil Diver. This is a great watch at a great value. Now, what I like about this invasion of homage brands is it does show us watch enthusiasts just how little money you can spend on a decent made watch, while seeing our beloved brands like Seiko's prices rising, and the product's not improving. And hopefully we'll give them a kick up the backside. So anyway, big respect if you do own one. It's just not for me. Whoa, I'm glad I got that off my chest, you know. It's nice to have a cleanse now and then, isn't it, eh? Now comes the fun part. Not fun for me. I'm going to reveal to you the one watch that, to be fair, my wife never wants to see again. It's had the worst reaction on the history of this channel. So much so, the first words she said were,
You haven't bought this, have you?
the watch that she called
The ugliest thing I have ever seen.
It is in fact my gold G-Shock Square. And there was almost a tear in her eye when I said I had bought it. She hates digital watches. She hates blingy gold watches. Put them together and... So there you go. I hope you've had fun here. It's all about having fun, isn't it? This is why I do it. And if you want more fun, check this bad boy out. This is a great show. One of my best. I mean, actually, this is my best, this one, but this one's even better. Oh, so much so you need to watch it now. Need to. Go on, click it. Click it.